Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for October 20th through 26th. This week I read 2 books, I watched 3 shows, I watched 1 movie, and I listened to 1 book. I woke up somewhere that's not my home, so it must mean that it's Sunday and it must mean that it's time to do a weekly wrap-up. Really feels like I haven't been home on a Sunday in a while. Speaking about not being home, if you haven't seen my most recent video about the updates to the Queer Lit Readathon, please go watch that. I'll link it down below because there are changes coming to round 14. Also, we're looking for guest hosts, so if you're interested, let me know. And with that out of the way, let's get on to the books that I read. The first one is called So Thirsty. This one is a vampire novel, and that's literally all I knew about it going into it. This one follows a woman named Sloane. She, I believe, is turning 36 at the time of this novel, and she finds out that her husband has gotten a surprise for her birthday. She's not a fan of surprises, so she doesn't know why he's decided a surprise is the way to go with this, but he's booked a girls' weekend with her best friend, which is pretty rare because her best friend is the tour manager for her band and they've been in Europe for a while, so her best friend is actually flying in so they can do this girls' weekend together. However, Sloane has this sinking feeling that this is more of a thing for him than it is for her because she's caught him cheating in the past and she's really wondering if he's going to use this opportunity to do that again. While they're staying at their very bougie cabin in the woods type of situation, some things happen. They go out the first night and Naomi kind of ignores her to talk to this guy at the bar, which is really annoying but totally typically Naomi. And then the next day Naomi has a surprise for her, which is like, great, another surprise, my favorite. And it ends up being a situation much more dark and dangerous than either one of them could have predicted. This one is just rife with conflict and it's really about this friendship, but also about how lives can completely fall apart when things change on the turn of a dime. Being a vampire novel, this one definitely gets graphic at points, not only in the kind of I want to suck your blood type of graphic, but also in the sexy time graphic. So, you know, be prepared for that type of stuff going in. But I kind of think you would be, knowing it's a vampire novel. In a completely different vein, vampire joke, I read a completely different type of book, and that was called Little by Little You Can Change the World. This is a kid's graphic novel about this kid named Michael who growing up was in the foster system and had a lot of different foster siblings. He was one of, I believe, 2 kids that this family permanently adopted, but they had about 300 foster kids that came in and out of their house over the years. And he realized one day, because of his upbringing of all the siblings really helping each other, he wanted to help people and he didn't think it was fair that other people would think that helping people wasn't a good thing. So when he went to a youth conference and somebody was like, well, homeless people are just lazy, he was like, yeah, no, they're not. And he was very eloquent about speaking about why this person should just actually help people because he himself experienced homelessness and he can tell you it's not because he was lazy. This is based on a true story and Michael actually went on to be a community organizer, and I think that's great. I really wish this graphic novel was a little bit longer, but also I'm not the intended demographic, so I get it that it's pretty short because it is for kids. On to what I watched this week. I finished the 2nd and final season of Criminal Minds Beyond Borders, which means I'm done all of the Criminal Minds things that are currently on streaming. Unless there's some random 3rd spin-off that I don't know about, but I don't think that's the case, although I haven't looked it up, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. There's only 3 series. This one did some tricky things, and honestly I would have been pretty into this continuing as a series because I was really getting to know these characters and the interdynamics of the fact that the leader of this team has a son who's in the FBI, definitely came into play this season, and I think it would have been cool to see more of this. But alas, it is, like I said, the 2nd and final season. So I guess I just need to wait for season 18 of Criminal Minds to come out now. After that, I realized that the 20th season of Grey's Anatomy was finally available to stream, so I did that, and it did not take very long because there were only 10 episodes. This is one of those shows where it's typically 20 to 24 episodes, however, I'm pretty sure this happened during the writer's strike, hence why it was a very short season. Even though it was short, a lot happens because it's Grey's Anatomy, a lot is going to happen, and I still really enjoyed the season, but now I'm like, man, now I have to wait a whole year for another season, and that's just not cool. Which is why I remembered that I am behind on Station 19, so I started watching the 5th season of that. There is crossover between Grey's Anatomy and Station 19, so I knew something devastating was going to happen at some point that I was going to be really upset about, and unfortunately for me it happened in the very first session of sitting down to watch some Station 19. It happened in Season 5, Episode 5. The one thing that I really knew was going to happen, that I didn't want to see happen, happened. I hate character deaths like that, I really do, but I knew it was going to happen, so like I didn't die inside all the way, I just kind of died again a little bit from having seen it on the other side. I actually ended up watching 16 episodes of this season, so I'm most of the way through this season, but I have 2 more seasons after that. But then after that I'll have to finally pick something that's not a police or medical or firefighter drama to watch, and I don't know how I feel about that. If you have suggestions, leave them down below, I guess. As for the one movie I watched this week, we watched the most recent M. Night Shyamalan, and that is Trap. I didn't even know there was a new movie out, but I'm visiting family, as I seem to be doing pretty much every weekend, and they were like, hey, there's this new movie out, let's watch it. And all I knew going into it is it's about a dad and a daughter, and they're going to a concert together. And of course, M. Night Shyamalan is known for, what a twist! And the twist came real early in this movie. Also, it's just delightful to see Josh Hartnett in things because, like, he's good. He does a really good job. Also, Alison Pill, who I know from the newsroom, was in this movie, and I was sitting there the whole time being like, okay, has she just become unrecognizable? Like, where is this character? And you don't see her until later into the film, and I was like, oh, there she finally is. Okay, fair. That makes sense. But yeah, this is all about this guy that's taking his teenage daughter to see this pop star named Lady Raven. Music is a really big thing in this, obviously, because the majority of it takes place in this arena where this concert is going on. And I didn't look it up definitively, but I'm pretty sure the person that plays Lady Raven, the music artist, is in fact M. Night Shyamalan's, I assume, daughter. I didn't actually look it up, but she did a fantastic job. There is a point in this movie where things start falling apart. There's this like one really bad line that happens, and from there it kind of unravels towards the end of the movie. But for the majority of the movie, we were really into it, and we were just like, okay, that major twist happens really early. Is there another one we need to know about? And yeah, there are more twists, but yeah, I don't know how to feel about them. If you watch this movie, let me know your thoughts down below. As for the book I listened to this week, that was Nosferatu by Joe Hill. This is a really interesting book because it's also a vampire book to an extent. There are these different people that have these items that gain them certain types of powers. Our main character in this one is Victoria. Her father calls her the Brat. And when she's eventually gifted this bike, she realizes that she can actually use it to cross this bridge that doesn't exist anymore and end up places where she's searching for something. She finds this out the first time because her mom leaves her bracelet behind somewhere, and she actually rides her bike and goes and gets it, even though that bracelet in reality is like miles upon miles upon miles away. There's no way she could have done that in the amount of time that she does it. Eventually she does meet somebody who kind of tells her how these things work, but in tandem with that there is this man who is using his kind of physical item, which is a very old type of car called a Wraith that has the license plate NOS4A2, so Nosferatu, to kidnap children, steal their life force, and basically make himself young again, much like a vampire would. This book is such a love letter to the idea of we live in 2 worlds. We live in the physical world and we live in our interior world. And this just kind of brings that out. I also really love that obviously most of us know that Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, but people often forget about the fact that his mother is also a novelist. His mother and father are novelists, his brother is a novelist. I believe he has a sister, I don't know what she does, but he didn't mention in the afterword I listened to that she is also a novelist, so I'm assuming something else. And he made a point of talking about how from reading his mother's novels, he really learned how to talk about these different characters and their interior lives, and I thought it was really well done. Also, while I was listening to it, I felt a lot of it was just like little nods to different works of his dad's. Like we have A Sentient Car, Christine. Dairy is definitely brought up at least once, because why wouldn't it be? And I think something like Pennywise was also mentioned. But this is such a long audiobook, and I was listening to it either while I was walking or I was driving, so it's not like I could take notes. But every once in a while there'd be these lines and I'd be like, oh, yep, I see the little reference. And I liked those little nods, because honestly, if I were him and I were making something like this, I would kind of want to make some nods too. I ended up thoroughly enjoying this. You get to see a lot of the interior lives of these different characters. We had this really cool librarian character who I just want to see all the fan art of, and I'm just so glad I finally got around to reading this book. Also, if you listen to it as an audiobook, the narrator is Kate Mulgrew, and she does an amazing job. As she would, she's Kate Mulgrew. Of course she does, but it's just, she does such a fantastic job. I want to hear like several other books narrated by her. I think the only other book I've heard narrated by her was her autobiography, Born with Teeth, which is also very, very good and devastating at points. But now I'm gonna have to see what else she's narrated because I want to listen to all of it. Also, for people who are into like the making of things, let me just take a picture and show you where my tripod is, because it just seemed the easiest way to do this without me sitting on the floor. And the best part is where you are actually on top of a copy of The Princess Bride, which is delightful. I bet there's illustrations. This looks like a good copy. Like it's hefty. Let's see. Oh, this is fun. Oh yeah, there's definitely illustrations. I've read this before. I like the movie better because I watched the movie as a kid, so obviously I like it better, but I might see if I can steal this at some point and reread it, because I did enjoy it, but like, I enjoyed the movie more. Because you tend to enjoy the one that you've experienced first. In my opinion, that usually seems to be what happens. Okay, bye. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye.